So welcome to everyone, and welcome to all of you and participating in the Masterclass today. I would like to acknowledge the sovereign First Peoples of this land and waters where this Masterclass is taking place, the Darug people of the Darug Nation. We pay respect to their elders, past, present, and to all the descendants of this nation who have cared for this place since time immemorial. We welcome Emma Jardine, violinist with the Streeton Trio, and also Benjamin Kopp, who will join us later on, who is also in the Streeton Trio. Emma has is a violin soloist, played with orchestras and in other chamber music endeavours. Our first performers today will be Stephen and Fiona Harvey. Fiona and Stephen have prepared the Brahms Opus 78 G Major Sonata, the first movement for today's masterclass. This is the first of three sonatas for violin which Brahms published in Brahms, and this was composed in the summers of 1878 and 1879. We look forward to the performance and also then to Emma's insights into it. After the performance and the tutoring, there will be a 10-minute question time at the end. So please, if you can put your questions, write your questions into the chat on the Zoom. And this is, you should see on the bottom of your screen a button marked chat. And so if you would like to enter, if you have a question, please enter it into there. There will also be an opportunity, depending on time, for people to actually verbally give their questions. This will be organised when the time comes. Okay, so without further ado, we will begin. You will all need to continue to be muted, obviously, during the performance. So I think I've muted everyone already, but make sure that you remain muted.
It's a cool thing. It's not here, Barbara.
Okay, so I'm going to change over the camera to a different camera, so if you give us a few seconds and then we'll be able to.
Well done, thank you. That was really good.
I was very nervous, so I apologise for all those jitters.
It's fine, we all get it. Yeah, really, really nice playing. Can you see me in the picture? No? Is that right? Yep. Yeah, beautiful playing, both of you. I mean, you play really nicely together, and I can tell that, yeah, you both have played this, a lot together, and it's really nice to see, all the different colours that you're aiming for and everything. You have a beautiful sound on the piano, and you have a beautiful sound, especially when you got to the forte sections. I was like, yeah, that sounds really great. That was really, really nice match of the two sounds together. So I just love this sonata.
So
it's
do I.
just
So good.
so beautiful, isn't it? And it's just like, it feels like summertime, like just so happy and relaxed and
breezy and light.
Yeah, it's just so beautiful. And I think the thing when you're playing it, so when you play, you feel like you're doing a lot, but a lot of it gets lost before it even hits the audience. And so I think the thing is if the thing that could improve this the most is if we could just really work on the sound of each section. that you're, and really be imagining what you're aiming for. I think quite often you like you're doing it all really well, but it's on a too small a level.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that it doesn't quite match the piano sound. And I don't think the piano should come down at all. I think that often you can just do what you're doing, but just more, like more sound. And at the beginning, I know it's much mezzo, voce and piano, but when you're playing just violin and piano, like your instrument is this big and her instrument is like, 20 times bigger than yours. So even when it's piano, mezzo, voce, it's got to still have some kind of a body to the sound and not be just too light, because otherwise you're doing all this beautiful stuff, but just no one can hear it. So it's, I think, maybe if we can just work on the color of the beginning. So, I would say like, that is a message. Because you're a soloist, you're not playing mezzo voce as part of an orchestral section. You're playing, like, you've got to carry the entire melody versus a piano. So I think, if you stay at your level, but if you really just, you've got a beautiful sound, so I don't need to tell you how to make a good sound. I think just it's too high off the string, it's too lifted. And so I think the colour that you used at the beginning would be really great if you, like for the pianissimo section, or is it on your music? Yeah, it would work really well there for that, like where you really want it to be kind of treading on eggshells. But at the beginning, I think you've got to just convey this beautiful, relaxed, calm, just loving sound. So do you want to just try the very opening again and just try see how much warmth you can get in your sound? Maybe just ignore mezzo voce for now, because you're already good at that. Like, try and just see how much line you can get and how much warmth you can get with your vibrato and with your bow. Better already.
Better though. I think
yeah.
I don't feel like it's a warm enough sound yet.
Yes, well, it's getting there. Now, can you add your left hand? So can we really have like right from the start, your vibrato is really fast, and that intense. Really, kind of, it gives that, if your vibrato is very fast mixed with a fast bow speed, it gives just a really kind of delicate but loving sound. Like, and then the other thing I was going to say is just be only get softer when you mean to get softer, not just because you're changing the bow.
Right.
So if you just think of the line going for the entire duration of the phrase. So, and then still going. That's where we're trying to get to all the way through. Okay. Oh, sorry, I was going to say, just use more, but like you can start at the tip and do retakes and things that will help with the, Yep.
Work on that.
So, can you just see if you can, just the very first note. That's it, yeah.
We're jumping on that down bow there.
That's beautiful, yeah. Good, yep. Yeah, good. And then don't die away because it's still going all the way through that bow then. It's still going. So next point I was going to make was kind of along those lines, so that you keep the lines going through the phrases, so you make a bigger shape through each phrase, but then that it's the entire kind of beginning is building and building and building, and gradually, I think that will make, when you finally land at this forte, because it's all kind of heading towards this section here. Yep. So when you finally land there, that you've really built your way up to it. So, yeah, why don't we try? Do you want to go one more time?
Yeah, sure.
Start?
That'd be good.
Much better. That was really much better. I wonder, can you get any more sound when you get up to the top?
I'm trying. I'd like to be able to put vibrato on those notes, but I can't on the top one. So.
Okay.
So yeah, I can try more sound.
Could you get it through kind of a weightiness in your I still feel like your arm might be lifting a little bit off the string. Like if you just kind of, before you play each of those high notes, if you kind of sit your bow on and you just feel your shoulder blade fall down, you feel that really you can get right into there. Just try that. So sit on at the tip. That's it. That's it. That's it. Good. Yeah. You've got heaps of sound. That's enough. Yeah, that's good. Great. Okay, so
with these, how would you play those? I've heard different interpretations, and
so I agree.
So not very dotted at all. Fairly.
No,
just a little bit of separation.
I feel like it's just the tiniest bit of separation. So it's more like a U shape on each note, because I mean,
that's all that's going on in that bar.
Yeah, when you have slurs with dots, like in Mozart, actually, that means barely make any gap between the notes. It means portato. And Brahms, it's still not very, like, just because there's a dot, I think it's more just to indicate a re-articulation of the note, because he tended to just use that to say that rather than, lines or, anything else. So I think it's kind of just this
So I'm trying to make the contrast for that bar there, where they're much more legato.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, so yeah, the difference between U shapes and then just simple legato. Yeah. Great. So the next thing I had was oh yeah. So then when we get to yes, exactly. Yeah. So I feel like that, having just said, that articulation is very almost legato. I feel like this bit we could grazioso and very tenderly. So I feel like how can we make that? What can we do with the sound to make that really tender and really graceful? Like it's got a bit of a lift to it, or kind of almost a kind of waltz feel. What could you do with that?
I don't know. I mean, I've been towards the tip of the bow there by the time I get there, so I've been making it very gentle and great graciosos that we're aiming for.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Yeah.
I think you have something different.
I don't think we need to be a slave to these slur markings that are in here, because Brahms was a pianist. I think if we see what he intended, but then we just go, okay, so let's make it sound like that, but actually bowing wise, we can afford to take a few liberties. I think so. I would actually separate it. I think it's just so much easier to make a graceful kind of character. And I don't know how you can get there, but yeah, if you just really don't use too much bow on that, I think you can do it. So up, down on each of those.
Okay.
Have a try and see if you like it. Good. And sorry, just one more thing that can make it even more graceful is, can you do vibrato on each of the first beats? So that. Each downbeat. Beautiful. It sounds so much better. It sounds really good. Yeah. Do you want to just try getting into that section?
Yes. Maybe 69.
I'm just going to look over your shoulders.
Yeah.
You guys want to turn on first the camera a little?
No, is that a good idea?
Oh, sorry, we're giving it Masterclass to Hi.
And I can still see you-ish. Okay. Right. So 69?
Given you, he's just passed you this kind of lilting lilt. Do you want to just play actually you first, and then Fiona, and then you? So you pass it to one another.
So straight on 70, is that right? Yep.
Yeah, good. So I feel like we can kind of into each of the second beats, and then Steve, you can help when you have your. You see how it's got a tenuto on the I think all of that combined will give it a really graceful kind of lilting feel. Do you want to try one more time?
Yep.
Actually,
Together,
with all the parts now, yeah.
Straight on 70.
threw
That's
you
all right.
off. I was just trying to
Threw
think.
myself off.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. One more time.
We got some going there.
It's up there, just there on the. Move your Lego down and play. You want me to bring down that Rubik's Cube, the one you played last night?
Beautiful. Yeah, great.
Good, that's
so
great.
yeah,
That's right.
just with this kind of thing where you've got the bop 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 bop, you're both feeding off each other. It's a tricky thing to do. I find that as a violinist, you always have to play a little bit sooner than you think
Yeah, I
you
was
should.
wondering about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because like even if you feel like you're playing right on the beat, every time I listen to a recording of myself, I'm like, it's so behind.
Okay.
So
right.
yeah, you always have to just anticipate it a little bit, and I think if you do that, you'll kind of
Yes.
make this section flow a little bit better as well. So we'll do that, but let's just look at these beautiful. It's like a kind of a guitar strum now, isn't it? It's, can you really spread
We
them?
can, but when we.
A little diagonal. So like
What would you
starting
guys want to do?
from the G.
Oh, I've been going the other way.
Oh, but
No, I
you're
haven't.
not
I'm sure
really
you know.
watching this. Seems like it falls.
And
I use that finger because this is a
finger.
softer finger. That one's a bit harder. It's a bit rough.
Yeah, good. Because I was going to suggest using the more of the pad, but it looks like beautiful. Yes, that's great.
Blue Mountains.
Yep. So you can always hear.
It's being
I'll need to work
recorded
on
now, so tomorrow I'll be able to.
I've been going this way.
But now it's actually happening.
Oh, that's
I'm
tricky.
not sure. Because
I can't do that.
because I think it's because if once I've got fingers down here, it's a different action.
Okay.
Harder to, I don't know. I'll try it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, that it's just a
Yes.
really gentle kind of a strum, like a lute or a guitar
Yes.
or something.
I struggle with this to get it sounding decent. But it's I'll try.
Start it a little bit sooner than you think, so that you've got time to do, so that you get to like the top note on the.
Oh, okay. I was wondering where the
Yeah.
the beat should be.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the top
always.
or the bottom.
So, da-da-dum, da-da-dum. Yeah, the downbeat is on the top note. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, good. So should we try with piano now? Let's try from this offbeat.
Yep.
Oh, why don't we go again from 70 just to get that whole section. Great, yeah. So this whole section, I feel like it's like running water, or it's so fluid. So I think you're both playing it well together. but I feel like you both could be a little bit more fluid in how you play. So maybe if you both just work on getting absolute smoothness, so you can't even hear when you change bows or anything, because sometimes I feel like the sound disappears a little bit, not intentionally. Like maybe there are moments where he's, you know, deliberately done 4 slurred to kind of bring out the hemiola. So I think then you might want to bring that out a little bit. But first of all, learn to control it. Learn to have every note absolutely even and absolutely smooth. So it's just like this beautiful kind of gradual descent all the way down to here. And also you could start this, even though it's sempre dolce, you could start a little bit louder just at the start, so you've got somewhere to go, and you just keep this very long line going all the way down to the bottom of the phrase.
Okay.
Do you want to try one more time, or do you want to just
What should we go from there?
Yep.
A 90 or no?
Yep. And then once you've got it beautifully smooth, see if you can get some vibrato in there as well, without interrupting that beautiful smooth sound. That was already much better though. Yeah. Did it feel better?
Yes.
I think the key with this, because this piece it's so beautiful to listen to, but it's very tricky to play, isn't it?
Yes.
Because it's like a bit and then a bit and then a bit, and it's like you're trying to piece all these bits together. But I think the key to unlocking it is if you just see it as very big shapes, like everything is either heading somewhere or going away from somewhere, and you work out exactly where you're heading for, and you just think of a very long overall line going there. So it's almost like you've got this beat going, like that is like this very big underlying beat that's going like 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you can be feeling that while you play, it gives you a completely different feel, because it's like you're comfortable, you've got something to lock into, you're not just kind of doing a bit and then another bit and then another bit and trying to somehow piece it together. So yeah. Do you want to try one more time from there, and we'll continue this time, but just keep that kind of feeling in mind. If you can imagine a very big underlying, you know, like the first beat of the bar of it is your metronome, the first beat of every bar.
Sorry. Yep.
Beautiful, great. And now here we are back at summertime, just in a different key. So same thing as you found at the beginning. You can really feel freedom in your bow and a lot more vibrato, like a really sweet vibrato. So you make a really beautiful kind of loving sound. Do you want to try right on there, the downbeat of that bar? and I can see in your music you've got squiggles actually written in, so it's deliberate.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like this just, and here
I
were
don't
you just being very nice to
I
Fiona?
was. The
Yeah.
octaves.
Leave out a few octaves, who cares? It's better to leave out a few notes than to just abnormally
back.
disrupt the
Yeah.
phrase, because then you were slow all the way through
Yeah.
here because you'd slowed down so much there. So I think this is just flowing, and it's going and going and going all up until the point where I stopped you. So I would just like get rid of all these.
Oh, okay, all right.
I think it just goes from one thing to the next thing, and it's getting a little bit kind of more frantic.
Okay. I guess the point of this one, it's felt more exciting to be able to this pulling back and then charging forward. But
oh yeah, no, that's good. Here,
yeah.
start.
Sorry, the one here. So this. But maybe that's too much. I don't know.
I actually would place it a little bit later.
Okay.
I would because I feel like this is the beginning of the build up. Like we can start here. So maybe if you just go so that it's very clear at the beginning of the next phrase. But in any case, it shouldn't be a huge thing. I think it's more important to just keep the momentum going so you can really build up to the climax.
And we've got a little one here as well, which we just recently added because it sort of felt
I'd
like a bit more dramatic coming into here. But
no, I think you've got it. It's more dramatic to keep going. It's more exciting. If you keep pulling things up all the time, then that loses its effect. I think save it for an important moment.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to try?
Yeah, we'll try that
one more time?
without the. So where should we go from?
Why don't you just start from?
Yeah. Okay. So 118.
And now we have a new colour. Yeah, Fiona, I think you can go for it. Where you da 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 da. I think that's really your moment there. And then Steve, you take over, and then you even more in your next entry there. Do you want to just try? It sounds really nice though. I really liked how you just kept going that time. I thought it gave it a lot more shape.
More direction or.
Yep. Do you want to just try from here? Do.
Okay. So 1, 2, 5. Once more? Yep. 1, 2, 5.
So that was really good. I think you can even go for even
Okay.
more. Yeah, and keep it up a bit longer. Like just really, that's your moment where you both should be like sweating and playing as hard as you can.
Yes.
And then when we get to this moment, if you got figure 6, so this then you can be using your sotto voce. Then we have a complete change in colour for that. Yeah. Okay, let's continue anyway.
Okay, all right. What do you do with page turns when you play this? Because there's only one bar of rest in the violin bar. That's the only way I could work out to do it.
I don't remember what I did, but
There's-
I liked your solution of just like.
The only way to do it. So should we keep going from there, or 127 the lead bar? All right. Sorry, that's more.
Beautiful. Yeah, good. So here it's like, what's happening? Where are we going? What happens now? I feel like it's a real kind of moment of uncertainty, and I think you can really bring that out when you play it. So by all means, use that pianissimo, really light colour here. Do whatever you can to be like very uncertain in the sound.
Right.
But then I think when you're doing this. Oh, here we go. That's right. I remember this is how it goes. I don't think you need to lift or anything before that because it's like finally we found our place. Here we are. Yeah.
Right.
Back home, and then straight back to that beautiful sound there you had at the beginning. So here I think is a good moment to be using that very sotto voce colour that you started with before. Now, just one other thing I wanted to say because I know we're running out of time.
Yep.
When we get to this con anima section, I think that could really go because it's. I feel like it's so kind of glad there, like there's so.
It's a bright, happy
Yeah,
note, isn't it?
But just really something grateful in the sound, or just something really. So I feel like it can flow a little bit more, so we really get a different colour there.
Yep.
Do you want to just try getting into that? Maybe 170, 171?
Yep.
Something like that. Yeah, so how would you feel about yeah, so it's almost an accelerando into that bar, and then you just go. Then it just goes after that.
Okay, right. Yep.
we kind of, it's pretty much, yeah, similar things to what we've already covered. I like how you're kind of really thinking about where the phrases end and everything, but I feel like, you know, it's too much. I feel like you need to just keep the bigger line going more. I think the secret to this piece is just really big lines.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you have any questions? Do you want to do that? Just
I think it's covered so much of it. Would you charge towards the end?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's, at this point here, it's just like, oh, hooray!
Go.
Triumph.
Yeah, absolutely.
Charge, yeah.
Yep, and then just go to the end. Yeah. Do you want to just do that?
Okay,
Andy?
235.
That's the idea. Yeah. Yeah, good. Very good. Yeah. You know, you do a lot of the very hard things really well.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think if you really work on your bigger lines and the colours that you're trying to get to each section, I think this is going to be really, really nice. Yeah.
Thank you so
and
much.
you too. Well done. Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
Questions
yeah, questions?
on the-
Or piano, do you have piano things?
So does anyone have any questions for Emma?
Can you come to the camera a bit?
Whilst we're waiting for any questions, we'd like to welcome Benjamin Kopp, who's just joined us, and he's a pianist in the as part of the Streeton Trio. I first heard the Streeton Trio perform at Pitt Street Uniting Church in 2012 when they were back on concert tour during their studies in Berlin. I remember Emma talking about how Beethoven's Piano Trio Opus 1 No. 1 was not the first he composed, but the first he chose to present to the world, and their concert also included the Dumpke and the Ravel trios. Since then, I've attended a number of their concerts, and in the past couple of years, Benjamin and Emma have given us occasional chamber music tutorials, both in person and online during lockdown. So yeah, feel free to ask them any questions. Matthew, have you got anything yet? Okay.
No questions.
I might actually ask one, while we're waiting, I might ask one for both of you. Yeah. Relating to how do you rehearse a new chamber music piece together, is it something that you get together quite early and work out ideas together, or do you actually unlearn the piece first and then come together and learn it?
Personally, hello everybody. I think the ideal is that everybody in the group has their ideas first before they get to the first rehearsal. So I think that you should work out as much as possible for your part and for everybody else's parts to get a whole conception of the piece and practice it as much as possible. So it's ideally up to complete concert standard by the first rehearsal. But of course, in practice, it doesn't always end up like that. But that's the aim. And then when you get into rehearsals, of course, everyone has different ideas. And then I guess the discussion between you will hopefully produce something that's greater than some of its parts. I mean, greater than anybody could have done separately. I think that's the great thing. And in addition to that, you always, despite what your ideas may be and what your intentions may be, in the moment, in a rehearsal or in a concert, that you just sort of feed off each other, and the piece can end up in a place that none of you ever expected.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah, I mean, that's how we work. Everyone has to prepare their part, you know, everyone has to have their part really well prepared and also have their musical ideas really well worked out. And then you get together and sometimes your musical ideas coincide and that's great, no discussion needed, but often they don't. And then it's the person that has the most convincing argument that wins, basically. And, you know, in a trio, it's 2 against fun. But it's that's what chamber music is about, and learning to, you know, be really open to everyone else's ideas. And you know, you might have an idea that you think is great, but then when you hear the reason behind someone else's idea, you might go, oh yeah, actually that's true. And we all try it. That's one thing that we always insist on is, no matter how stupid the idea sounds, you've got to give it a go. Everyone's got to try everyone's idea before you come to a decision. You're not allowed to just say, no, your idea sucks, before you've even had a good go at it. And you've all kind of made it work, made it get together with that rebuttal or that, you know, dynamic or whatever. And then you go, okay, no, I think the other idea was the best one. But yeah, definitely, I think prepare your parts, look at the score, get an idea of how you think the piece would go, and then you're all bringing something to the table as well.
Yeah, thanks. One other question was, what do you see the role of listening to other recordings of other piano trios or other groups, or do you not listen to them at all, or do you listen to them?
I know all professional musicians have a different opinion about this, but my personal opinion is I try to work out as much as possible on my own first, and get a really clear idea just from the score and my own playing and my own ideas. And then once everything is pretty settled in my own heart, then I will listen to some other recordings just to see if everyone else has come to a different decision, and then I need to maybe rethink or insist that I'm right. Or often, you know, you just hear some really good ideas. Oh, didn't hear that. I'll take that. You know, but I think the ideal for me is to work it out on your own first, because I just think getting that experience of just translating something from the music from the page to be a piece of music is such a difficult thing to do, and I think the more experience you can get at doing that, the better. So I do practice that myself.
Yeah, definitely. But also, I mean, you know, I'm just thinking, like, when I was a student, I would listen to so many recordings, different recordings of the piece. And, you know, like, I didn't have those tools. So you'd listen to it and you go, oh, cool, that's how you do that. And, you know, you can learn a lot, I think, from listening to, you know, many different recordings. I think it's good to always listen to a few, like, not to get just fixated on, you know, we're going to do it exactly like Perlman did or whatever. Like, it's got to be, you know, you pick and choose bits. But I think there's definitely a lot to learn from, you know, listening to other great players.
So has anyone else got any other questions? If you maybe just indicate in the chat function, we can unmute you.
That's what I'm liking.
Oh, someone's...
Fiona has a question.
Okay.
So hang on,
Oh, hi.
Yep.
How do you choose a tempo for that first movement?
We're just turning the volume up. So, Kian, can you repeat your question, please?
Oh, for the Brahms, how do you choose a suitable tempo for that movement? Because it's marked vivace, and it sort of sounds sort of more lyrical sometimes. So yeah.
This is
That's a good question.
This is the argument in every group, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's so natural. I mean, sorry, you should answer, but it's so natural to want to do it slower, but then it does, yeah.
But I mean, if you actually think of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that is a vivace tempo. You know, if you're going to be just very mathematical about it, that is a vivace tempo. But I don't feel like the mood of the movement is vivace. Like, it's obviously very lyrical and beautiful and singing. I wouldn't say like all kind of peppy and full of heaps of, you know, dance. I feel like it's more a lyrical kind of singing movement. So I guess it's a balancing act of
exactly.
Yeah.
And also that sometimes the marking at the beginning of the piece doesn't necessarily mean the first bar of the piece or the first 10 bars of the piece are that marking. Sometimes that marking can sort of be a marking for the movement. And so often how it sounds at the beginning might seem different to the marking as well. So you need to be careful of that. That's true in a lot of pieces too. Also, just the piano part, if you play it much faster than that, it's practically impossible. So I think we have to consider that, what is actually playable and what's that. So yeah, there is a limit, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, quite often you get that in pieces. You get this marking at the beginning and you're like, well, okay, what did he really mean here? Like, obviously that's ridiculous. So how do we interpret that, you know, to see what's kind of behind that marking, you know, and basically just by listening to the music, like if you just hear the music, often you can just get a sense for, okay, well, this is very lyrical and this would sound good if it was flowing or whatever. Yeah, I think you kind of, I guess it's up to every musician's own discretion as to how they want to interpret it.
Yeah, and also something like vivace is not necessarily a tempo. It can also just be a feeling. So it's very interpretable.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? If not, I'd like to really thank Emma for her time and her insights, and also to Stephen and Fiona Harvey for preparing and performing the Brahms for us. I hope you've all taken something away from the masterclass. Before Emma goes, she and Ben have some upcoming concerts for the Mozart Society. There's one this week.
Yep, on Wednesday.
On Wednesday at the concourse. And you're playing?
We are playing Mozart, E minor sonata, Beethoven, Spring sonata, and Franck sonata.
And they've got another, back at a piano trio, they've got one in February next year, also for the Mozart Society. So look out for that if you're interested in hearing them perform. Can highly recommend it. We're going to have about maybe a 1 or 2 minute break while we set up for the Schumann. Please stay online. You are muted, so we don't have to let people in and out of the session. And we'll just change over players, and Ben's going to take us through the first violin sonata that Schumann composed. He composed this later in life in 1851 at the suggestion of Ferdinand David, and it was composed over 4 days. So we'll be back in about a minute or two.
Excellent. That's really, really good. Fantastic. Fantastic. So, I mean, I'd just like to say, first of all, there's a lot in there that's already really good. A lot of the phrasing and a lot of the colours are exactly the kind of things that I would have asked you to be doing anyway. So, I mean, of course, I have things to say, but also the piano part is, I know, very difficult. You're doing a great job, and the violin part, I don't know if it's difficult enough, but it sounds good. All right, well, I think my main comment is, first of all, just Schumann sometimes he's a little bit bizarre in some of his writing. Some is really bizarre. Sometimes it's so detailed with what he marks, and sometimes he marks things that kind of go so much against the grain that you almost don't, you can't think that could possibly be true. There are some times where one of you might need to come up and the other person just comes down completely. And so I think we just need to just be really detailed with watching the score on this. I think once I point out a few things, I think you'll understand the kind of direction that we can go in with this piece. Why don't you go from the beginning again, and then I'll stop you as we go. Actually, I think you're doing the shaping of the first phrase very well, and I like how you're accompanying as well, because your part is so easy to overpower the violinist with all these running notes, and I think if you just imagine that you're her shadow, just shadow her the whole time with this. So you've got the melody in there in the accompaniment, but it's just kind of hidden or behind the door. So that's really good. So I think that we could characterize the two parts of the phrase slightly more, although you're already doing a good job. But I think that this is written to be played with passionate expression. I think that could be more passionate at the very beginning. So it just starts completely slow. I like how you're doing that. And then it's a reiteration. And I think the second part of the phrase could be a little bit more lyrical compared to the first extremely passionate part of the phrase. So it's really clear cut that there are two separate parts. Do you want to just try that? The only thing that I would like to see a little bit more is that very first SF could be even more like, perhaps like an ocean wave or something. Almost uncomfortable. Try to play almost uncomfortably loud, but I don't think it ever could be too loud.
In the first part.
In the first part, yeah. I think this might be a notation thing, and this is just my opinion, and you don't hear it very often, but I think this forte piano that you have, I think that's supposed to follow the, I think it's actually supposed to follow the shape. I think it's
more
just
of a crescendo rather than a full
yeah, so it would be almost like a crescendo to the middle of the bar, kind of like that, I think. Because then it's an augmentation of that. You know what I mean? And that's quite a few times, but I think that's probably what he meant. Otherwise, you just go at the beginning of the bar and it doesn't match. But yeah, let's just try it one more time. I think you're supposed to come up to this sforzando, and it's just the complete opposite to what Greta's doing, and your left hand, I think, is following Greta as well. So I think it's one of these situations that completely contrapuntal. Yeah. Hey, can I just demonstrate a little bit? Thanks. Shouldn't demonstrate that. Sometimes it's so soft, almost non-existent. Yeah. I think there could be slightly more separation between the melody and the accompaniment, as the accompaniment coming as soft as possible, just with the sort of the end of the fingertips. I know how difficult it is. Should we just try from just your forte piano bar? Here's the next one. So Greta, you come up here, but you don't. I'm pretty sure that applies not to you. And then after your C, sorry, what is it? Does that make sense? So it's kind of a similar thing to what happened before, the opposite, when you came up to the B flat. You know what I mean? Yeah, just one more thing here. In this crescendo, maybe I can attention to demonstrate. Really follow with your bass at first. Just so it really creates just violin on top and your bass at the bottom, creating a sort of fullness of sound. All right, just from bar. Let's see. So yeah, we need to just characterize the theme. I know it's on the piano. I always say it's the pianist has to work twice as hard as the string players to make as beautiful a sound. I think I know how hard it is to play strings, but the piano is it's kind of it's such a percussive instrument that you've got to work so hard. Really exaggerate these differences. Even more. Exactly. We've got to work so hard with pressure. All right. Why don't we just go directly on there? Bar 16. A lot of left hand. And I think just leave it on because that E in the bass in bar, so this is bar 19, it carries over and completes the chord of this one.
Oh, was I lifting the board? I
Yeah,
wasn't aware of that. I'm sorry, yes, I didn't mean to.
And I think, and also, I know it's not really exactly written like this, but I think it sort of goes to the middle, to the. And your left hand accents are also halfway through the bar. So I think if you really surge to the middle of the bar, it gets extremely exciting, and it will make this high hard bit easier to interpret. That's what we get. Should we just try directly on there?
Yes.
Sorry, one more thing just before we play again. When you have this forte, 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 the one This is something Schumann does, and it's sort of open to interpretation what he means, but obviously he doesn't just mean I want these to all be forte. I think it's a re-articulation on each one. There's some kind. Each one has its own weight. I think that's what he means. He wants it to be each one separate in a way. So I would just create a tiny bit of space between each one, just to sort of re-articulate and give each one its own importance. If that makes sense. All right, let's try. One more time. Nice. Good. It's okay. It was passionate. All right, and I think this might be a similar thing that I was talking about before with this fourth tendo that's just coming up. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's also following the phrasing of the piano there. All right, should we just go directly on there? Where you got to halfway through the one? So I think this is something I saw a few times. This particular shape. Again, I think it's kind of surging feeling. I think you have to make sure you start really softly there, because otherwise there's nowhere to surge. You're starting it quite loud. Yes. Maybe seeing this, but I think that's exactly.
This is but this, not this.
Well, this I think is supposed to basically be the same. Yeah, that's my interpretation. Yeah. So and after this, then just let it go. Just write it in some place. Make sure that you don't slow down when you get to this section. Keep it steady. Sorry. Yeah, this kind of thing. So don't slow down too much. Make sure you really follow the shape and go towards. Like this sforzando is a kind of magnet. And then you have these weird markings here. You've got the sforzando, something in the butt, and you've got this half sort of triangle thing in the bass. And I think, I don't know, it's difficult to interpret exactly what that means. I think that the sforzando might be more. I think it's also like the fortes or something. It's kind of it's got its own importance. These notes that have the triangle, but I think they're usually less than the sforzandos. Right. Yes. I can't be exactly sure, and I think it's different on a case by case basis with these ones. But if I can just point out these chords here, bum dim bum dim, the sforzando, it changes character on the sforzando. Yes. Yeah. So maybe it's just trying to show different characters with the slightly different markings. They should all be important, but somehow have a different. You know? I don't know. It's up to you, but that's my interpretation of this section anyway. And there's only one little difference I want to point out to you, that this time there is no sforzando. Just before the forte, I would start that again.
Well, there is in the
violin, but not the piano. Yeah, not the piano. Exactly. And so I think you need to start so you can really surge towards the forte. Again, you have to really go against the grain area, what you want to do. Can we just go from
31 and a half?
Yeah, sure. Maybe 31. thing, or the accompaniment to the thing, it sounds a little bit steady still, and I think, can I demonstrate? Hopefully you'll see. I think you should interpret it. Yeah, always in these left hand should be always in these two note phrases. So if you keep bum, 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 they're a little bit too individual at the moment. I think that'll make a big difference. So the left hand kind of guide the movement. Why don't we just go directly on that forte? So 34. I'll be from the off. See all these surging figures now that are really coming out. You're starting softly. It makes a big difference. Here, I think we have this reiteration of the same kind of phrase. So it happens 3 times. Let me just figure out exactly where it is. And so I think that really needs to be more every time. What would help is if the end of that little mini phrase was thrown away a little bit more, because I think, again, it's becoming a little bit steady. So, yada yum da dee 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 dee, as in yum da dee 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 dee, yada da 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 dee, yum da dee, yada da 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 dee, yada dee dee. You know what I mean?
So the end of like tailing off.
That's right. After the main note of the phrase, just let it just let it go. Okay, so if we could go from here, but I really like the way he did this. That was nice. You didn't play it too loudly, it really followed the phrase down. I really like that. Alright, should we just go from halfway through 47 where you have the piano, which has been changed to pianist. Just fine, sounded good. Demonstrate a little bit here. I think it could be even more exaggerated. What I was saying before. So after you just really let it go. Sometimes it might be a little, you could be much more exaggerated than you realise, and it won't sound good because it's even though it feels strange when you get used to playing like that. Alright, let's do the same thing. because there's a temptation as soon as you get to the beginning of that,
Yes.
and then it doesn't really follow from what came before. So you've always got this make sure it really does follow on sort of logically from what came before. Yeah.
Is there a sudden hold back or not there?
I wouldn't interpret it as sudden. I think it should sound more completely organic.
Okay.
So I wouldn't make it sudden. Yeah. Okay. Should we do that one more time? Just from the piano. Oh no, sorry, from the first one, the Sforzando one. Middle of bar 59. Again, the same thing. So I think there are some things which he hasn't written in during Python before, doesn't he? Like the same kind of surgeons in the middle of the bar. Like maybe it's not as extreme as before, but I would,
it does
the same shape.
Yes,
Yeah. So I like how you were coming out here. So you are a different. You're kind of almost in canon a little bit, and I think that one should come up when the other comes down. You were doing that, so that's really good to see. There are some weird markings here as well. So here, I think that your left hand is probably supposed to do the same slight in articulation with the.
Yes, I was wondering actually.
I would say, to me, it sounds a little bit odd for that to be different.
Right.
But it can be done well. You know, I mean, it can be done either way. But I would just consider. Consider just doing it.
Be easier that way.
And also, you have these other weird markings where you've got these Sforzandos all over the place, and I think he's trying to overlay the upbeats to the new bar. There, I think that's all that is. Right. So I don't think it's necessarily anything jagged here. Right. It's just it's difficult to write. I think. I mean, a modern composer would have been able to write it more clearly. I think. Exactly. So some of these things are just very difficult to write, and then they write it in a way that they think is clear, and then we interpret them literally. Everybody does. So I think, why don't we just give that another go? There's a good spot. Yeah. From 72. 70. Oh yeah, sorry. 71, you're right. Sorry that I'm stopping you so often. It's just so detailed. Schumann there's so much that he writes, and it's really hard to execute. Here, we really need this canon having. That has to be really clear, I think. Sforzandos in this case, I think, should be really. All right. The only other thing I wanted to say, try to keep this a little bit dancing, even though you have all the in here. I think try to override this jaggedness of the semiquavers with it. try to keep a little bit of that dancing feeling underneath. Yeah, because it's very easy for it to get stuck. Can we just go from 75? Is that a good place? Yeah, you make a really big break here before the piano. It could be. It could be. To me, it just sounded a little too much just for my taste. But it is a complete break. It is
Because it's a bit of piano.
It's a sudden, yes, it really. Maybe at the moment it maybe sounds slightly unnatural. Just like this. So I would maybe think of it like a Beethoven sublimation or something. You know, where he has a crescendo to the last minute and then there's a way of doing it which is going to sort of naturally emerge from the ashes, you know what I mean? From the emotion, and then something underneath sort of springs up. If you think of it like that, if that makes any sense. And let's just see how that sounds, first of all. That bit before was very good. Could be more patchy. Really, really bow I love it. Much, much better. Can we just go from halfway through 84? Let's try that anyway. See how that sounds. That's getting better. Maybe that's the way to say. Keep the pedal on, put the soft pedal on, and then play with stiff fingertips straight down as you take the pedal off. So. It's a really good trick.
I did the wrong one. Down there,
Okay.
Should it be still a big break, or you think we should not take?
I think it sounds too much. I'm not saying that it's too long. It just sounds too much like a decided break at the moment. It's something you really have to feel together. It's going to come naturally from what you did before. That's all I'm going to say. Because he's mixed the theme around. Now he's got this forte at the beginning. He's changed. I think this is definitely a change. I think, yeah. And yeah, I think so. I think basically the beginning. So your right hand follows the shape of the original phrase. Does that make sense? So your left hand and right hand are going to be, they're not going to be completely aligned.
It happens every time.
Yeah, and so this has to be a big jet. It should be more of a gesture if you don't quite do all that. So not so much jet. Make sure it's not too even. It's really hard. It's very hard to fit. Let's try directly on there one more time. Very good before that. Very good. Do you know where it is? Oh no, from
96.
96. I'm just trying to. That's good. Exactly the shape that I was talking about. It's still, you guys going full bar phrases, I think. And I think this one's softer. See how this one's longer?
Okay.
And I think that should be more of a softness to it. I think that's why I've written that to be longer. And then the same thing here, and he doesn't even write as forte this time. So that's up to you, because that's more than Greta, that one. Okay, let's go on. That was really much better. Let's go for 104. Again, Sergi. Very good. So here, there's another really detailed element where all of a sudden things in augmentation, so it's like half the speed, but your right hand does again the original phrases, and then your left hand and Greta sort of follow the new part. So it's very tricky to execute. So, does that make sense? Makes sense. And make sure that it is at fast the like held back bit. Make sure that it really does sound like it's in slow motion here, and that. So it's almost like ultra slow mo matrix kind of thing. Can we just go directly on?
Sorry, just checking, just 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Just okay, sorry.
I lose track of time. We just go from 110. Fantastic. That's really, really very good. Very good. Okay, can we just do the end here? We have. Okay, so I think it's important when you have the
Transformation.
yes, transformation, exactly. In this section, I think it's really important to get that kind of swing. So you're only really responding rhythmically to those things, not getting stuck on the da 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 da. We just go right on there from 177. loud chords with the violin. Make sure that your fingertips aren't too hard. Otherwise it's just too loud. Make sure it's a little bit and the fingertips mostly pretty just pretty supple like this. And maybe your fifth finger might be a bit more, your thumb or something, depending on how you want to colour the chord. Colour it just more by changing the angle of your hand rather than with the hardest of your fingertips. Let's just go directly on there. The 189. Yeah, I really follow towards the F. Again, it's difficult to write, but I think that's the way. That was much better. Okay, last time from the very end. Oh, let me demonstrate this. I think you should try to play these legato. Just from the on the back end. You're really capturing it so well. Yeah, great work.
Thank you.
Thanks. Really good ideas.
Are there any questions from the audience?
Nothing on the chat. So.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you've been able to get something out of this, as we have. There were some questions about the recording being available later. This will be sorted out once we've worked out the logistics, and you'll be notified about that. Thank you for your participation today, and we'd like to particularly thank Ben and Emma for their wonderful tutoring today. Sue, if you have anything to say, if you'd like to unmute yourself, and then the rest of us will be able to hear you if you'd like to have some closing words.
Okay, can you hear me, Matthew? I think I've unmuted myself, no? Start again then. That was wonderful, and it was so interesting. It's so great in these days where we've had such difficulties in actually playing together, to have come to these ways of increasing our understanding of how musicians play together successfully, and what makes music work and what is not going to work. So I think that's the value of these pieces, because whatever instrument you play, you can look at what other musicians are doing and how they're handling it and what's going on. So I want to thank Greta and Matthew in particular for organising this. And I want to thank our tutors, Emma and Benjamin. It was fascinating stuff. and all the performers, Stephen and Fiona and Greta and Matthew. And we'll look forward to having this up on the ACMS YouTube channel so that we can go through it again or listen to it the first time, whatever it may be. And can I just remind everyone that the closing date for our first live get-together, the in-home playing day, is coming up next weekend. So if you haven't committed to this yet, but you still would like to come, next weekend is the deadline for that, and we are so looking forward to meeting up with each other in small groups to play some music again. But for this, thank you, everyone.